My name is Ria Kapluck, and I'm a customer success manager here at Hivebrite. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Terence Sinkfield, who is the Vice President of Alumni Support at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point up in New York. Terence, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks,
For our
Ria.
audience, yeah, absolutely. For our audience, please be aware you can ask questions throughout the webinar using the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to answer those questions at the end. We'd also love to read more about your communities, your goals, the challenges that you're facing, and you can let us know those via the chat as well. So with intros out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get this discussion started. So to kick things off, Terence, could you tell us a little bit about your community's mission and who it serves?
Yeah, sure. So before I start with that, I'll give you a little bit of context into who we are at AOG, or West Point Association of Graduates, and who we serve, because that'll shape how our community is built and our community mission. So we have a staff of about 50 individuals across 6 departments here in Alumni Support. We are an advancement organization, so we're combined with the foundation, and I lead the Alumni Association portion of our Association of Graduates. We serve a little over 55,000 graduates across 150, let me take that back, across 129 West Point societies, 82 living classes, and 6 affinity groups. And our mission is 154 years old. Our mission is to serve West Point and the Long Gray Line, which is what we call our alumni or our graduates. We tailor our new and existing services using design thinking, primarily human-centered design, and we have an alumni journey map that helps us shape new and existing services, including our community. So our community's mission is in lockstep with our association mission to provide service to our graduates, world-class service, which is really my mission. That influences that matter within our journey map. We also use this as a tool to help our volunteer leaders, because our volunteer leaders are key to success with service. So anytime we can make this easy for our volunteers, that really advances the mission of our association. So the 3 primary tools, or the 3 primary functions of our community for our volunteer leaders, is to help them manage their group membership, for event support, and through secure communication campaigns. So those are things that our volunteer leaders have been asking from us for a few years, and we finally put our money where our mouth is and made it happen with Hivebrite in 2019, and happy to do so. So.
Fantastic. So with those tools, Terence, how would you say that helps to serve further the association's objectives and the vision that you have today and moving forward?
So I'll talk a little bit about our mission. We do have a vision, which is relatively new. Our vision is to be the most highly connected alumni body in the world. So whereas our mission is to serving West Point and the Long Gray Line, our vision is to connect, and the real value that we bring to our constituents is the ability to form enhanced connections. So our community is designed to provide all graduates the ability to reach each other beyond just how they're segmented within their class and geographically within their society. They can reach across 19 filters, which we're very we take a lot of pride in being able to provide that ability for our graduates to do that. Now that's incredibly helpful when we talk about moments that matter within our journey map, because we know
Mm-hmm.
that our graduates have a difficult time with the transition. We all have a 5-year ADSO or active duty service obligation following graduation. I myself am a 99 graduate of the Academy. I've been here at the association for 5 years. I know all of you can see my information via LinkedIn. But that transition is a pain point for all of us when we leave active duty service, whether it's at the 5-year mark or at the 20-year mark. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
important for graduates to be able to reach out and touch someone who's walked the same path ahead of them. And if someone is interested in becoming a doctor, for instance, or if they're interested in actually utilizing their engineering degree that they earned when they were here,
Mm-hmm.
it's always good to reach out to a graduate, not within your class year, to just talk about the
Right.
current industry trends, etc. And that's what we talk about by an enhanced connection. And I think that goes more or less to the value and the impact that we can deliver at the association, and we can do that through the community. So
That's great. And what I'd really like to hear a little bit more about is, um, you have these wonderful programs where you're connecting your graduates to their fellow graduates, whether that's in their same class or within the entire West Point alumni community. But how are you measuring and evaluating the impact that that the success of the program really, how does that drive your association's goals? How are you really measuring what success looks like?
yeah, so we look at a couple of primary factors. We measure success across alumni support. This alumni support or alumni affairs in any institution is very difficult to measure, but we have translated most of what we do into measurables. So since I started here, we have built an engagement scoring model where we measure across 61 factors and carry that score to our constituents. I know many peer institutions do this, but we really started at zero 5
Mm-hmm.
years ago. Now we're measuring 61 factors, most of which need to be fed in an automated fashion to and through our CRM, and that's really the bar or the barrier for entry for
Mm-hmm.
something to work. It needs to be automated into our CRM. So right now it's 61. The two factors that we measure for Hivebrite or for our engagement and community platform, we have two factors that are fed into our overall engagement metrics. So those are measurables. We can go more into that in a moment. I know you have a couple more questions to ask me, but we do
Yeah,
have two primary factors that we gauge success with using the platform with West
great.
Point.
Fantastic. So as you're talking about data and the quality of your data, how are you guys at West Point using data that's available to you to advance the goals of the association? And are there challenges that you can speak to that you've encountered and maybe some successes as well?
So the main issue for us is constituent updates. We don't do too much data mining. I know we're a institution that is affiliated with the government, but we do not mine data from our constituents. We ask for self updates primarily, but we know that in order for our community to be successful, constituent updates are the priority, either encouraging those updates and or receiving them in an automated fashion through the API that we built with Hivebrite. So, so constituent data updates, that supersedes everything. That's what we rely on for our advancement efforts. We also employ some additional tools. About 2 years ago, we have increased our ability to have data science and data analysis. So we have a data warehouse, etc. We've invested into a data scientist and a data analyst. We're able to watch trends. We're able to watch linear regressions and overall constituent engagement, which I referred to earlier. All of this, we use visualization, data visualization through Tableau primarily. We're looking at Power BI, and I know these are all terms that everyone's familiar with, but this is just the way we're operating at the moment. But the data that we get from the community is invaluable, primarily because we like to make constituent updates easy. In order for us to receive data and encourage data from our constituents, it has to be easy, and primarily we can do that with the community engagement platform. So the community, to answer your question, is a cornerstone for measurements, as the community usage offers strong linear regression for the propensity for increased engagement overall.
Great. So what are some of those community data points that are really helpful for the association as you're looking at those engagement objectives? Can you give us some examples of what those data points might be, and maybe speak a little bit to how that the your synchronization, your data integration has really helped you improve those goals for data quality and
Right. Yeah. I mean, always the synchronization is paramount to anything. So our nightly sync is so important for us. But we are interested primarily in overall adoption, and we're also interested in aggregated unique users over the course of a single year. So this feeds my theory that success is driven if my grads are, number one, aware that the community exists, and number two, success is measured if grads are actually using it. So it's one thing if they've actually adopted the platform, which where are we now? I think we're at 35% adoption, which
yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah,
pretty decent. Within a year, we were able to get to 18%. So awareness is there, and it's always, I don't want to plateau at any given time, so I'm always driving to the 100%. So, awareness is an issue for us, but that's how we measure success. And then, of course, cumulative unique use over the course of the year. I think that if grads are using it, that's a signifier or indicator of success. Everything else follows, like user experience. If I'm failing or plateauing in one of those areas, then of course I need to modify the user experience, and we need to take a look at things like the landing page and the way grads are receiving information, etc. So regarding synchronization with the CRM, once again, like I said, there's no way we could be successful without our nightly sync. Back to our volunteer leaders. Our volunteer leaders rely on that nightly sync. So if a grad moves from Wisconsin to Florida, that incoming society leader needs to know that, hey, new grad in area, and they need to be ready to welcome them with open arms. So we have to have our membership role, or they rely on us to have their membership roles 100% clean, and to engage new and existing constituents with relevant content through the secure communications that we're able to do through campaigns. So
right. So how did those? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Everything touches each other.
Gotcha. So can you speak a little bit to how those groups, those different kind of sub communities that you have within the association, how do those feed into the overarching strategy of the Alumni Association, and into the work that you guys are doing there in West Point? If you could just kind of speak a little bit to that, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think that we need to reinvent too much. I'm a very simple person. I don't do complicated. So I alluded to the societies that we have. I alluded to the classes that we have and the affinities that we have. Really, the idea is we go to where grads are. That's really the idea. So our grads are already within the 129 societies worldwide. They already have close and strong affinity with their class group. They already have affinity within their shared interest groups. We also nest our initiatives in the engagement platform. So more or less back to the journey map, the initiatives that are in our strat plan, these are essentially things that our grads are asking us to do without really outright asking us to do it. You know, they've asked us to help them with transition. So of course we enhanced our career services and provided an additional product called Career Navigator, which matches mentors with consumers. That initiative is nested within the engagement platform. Also, athletics are another affinity. That's where the grads are. So what do? We provide them the ability to manage their membership and engage their constituents in a relevant way. So that's the way we structure it. I want to say, I want to try to take credit for it being more complex, but it's not complex at all. It's easy. The grads convene and we go to where they are and we provide them with relevant services and tools so that they can be successful as volunteer leaders. So, and then also, if we want to talk about strategy, overarching strategy, even though I kind of gave you a non-strategy, I think this strengthens our vision of connecting. So whenever we gravitate to where grads are, that strengthens our vision. And I just want to speak to the importance of having a strong vision and the importance of having a strong mission. As long as we have both of those, I don't think that any of this is difficult when it comes to having strat sessions, because you have a North Star already. You're able to build and you're able to grow and adapt based off of what you have at your central core. So
great. So how do you then, for those groups, for those affinity groups, they're connected and engaged within their smaller subsets, but what do you guys do to help ensure that they're still connected and engaged with the larger alumni network, while still supporting that unique focus that they have within their subcommunity?
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing that remains unsaid about all of this is that, having a community and having this platform is a lot of work. But just like I tell any potential client or peer, etc. You're going to get out of this what you put into it, so you're going to have to make a peripheral investment in order to make this successful. As for us, we've assigned, we've kind of gone into this with baby steps. We've assigned this as an additional duty for our staff that supports classes, societies, and affinity groups, because that support was happening before. I would say it was happening in a reactive way. Grad calls, I need help, and then we provide the help in a reactive way. This provides us the ability to be more proactive. So we're proactively providing our volunteer leaders to hold their own events. We're able to provide them the ability to curate strong campaigns, and we're also providing them the ability to manage their membership. We're also able to focus our other attentions on helping them on the back end of their daily logistics, like, oh, how do I set up a 501c3? Because they have this tool to be able to run the logistics of their group. Now we can help them do other high-level tasks from the staff. So we invest time in training. We also invest time in retraining our volunteer leaders within the platform. That's kind of like an ankle biter, and that's to be expected. Tech changes every 5 seconds. So we have to remain on top of that, and we have to keep our volunteer leaders informed of the changes. So that's really how we keep our volunteer leaders informed. And kind of where I see a lot of goodness is whenever we get our volunteer leaders training other volunteers, and we create this self-licking ice cream cone of sorts. So we're kind of like backing away and letting them drive the train. We've found our influencers, and they're able to actually build their own decks and present in front of an audience of volunteer leaders. We typically do this at our annual volunteer leaders conference, which happens in August before the school year starts here at West Point. So
that's great.
That's how we keep the volunteer leaders engaged. But really, I want them to engage with one another with best practices and let the community solve their own problems, that's essentially where we are right now. We're at the point to where our volunteer leaders are like, oh, hey, class of 84, this is class of 70. Have you thought about doing this, etc. With us kind of just background monitoring. So that's phenomenal. I love it. I love that when that happens.
That's great. That's really encouraging to hear, and I think that's really the goal. You're building community within your community of volunteers as well, which is fantastic. When you take a step back and look at kind of the relationship between your overall alumni community and the leadership at the academy or at the association, what are some of the tools or communication methods that you guys have found are particularly effective in making that connection between the association, West Point leadership, and then the alumni community at large?
So I'm a big fan of the weekly digest. I love that feature. It kind of distills down any sort of news occurring in the grad stratosphere. And it connects our graduates back to the academy. We don't see too much from the academy. We're a little bit different in that respect, since we're a private nonprofit who is supporting a government entity, but having this community with a weekly digest, able to communicate things that are happening away from the academy, that kind of is a tangible way to have our graduates connect back to the academy. We're able to moderate some of the content in there as well. We also like the blind messaging capabilities. I know that we're talking about connections with grads to the academy, but we also like connections when grads are communicating individually with each other. We think those two components have to be present in order to fulfill our vision to be the most highly connected alumni body in the world. So that's how we operate. There's a few things that we've made conscious decisions not to utilize, and I know that this is out there and this might be up for debate, but we do not use forums here. We also do not use the mentorship capability as well, and we have a myriad of reasons why we don't do that, but being the private nonprofit that we are, being in support of a large military institution, it's very important that we steer clear of religious, political, and commercial rhetoric. So forums tend to lead themselves into that, to those arenas. So we tread very lightly with that. Also, mentorship is something that we're kind of on the fence about, simply because we do mentorship for a living here at the academy. We have other mechanisms like our legacy 50-year affiliation, etc. But how can we take what is already happening within the community and adapt to mentorship? We're still looking at that, but over the last 5 years, we've made the conscious decision not to use it because we have mechanisms for mentorship right now.
Sure.
So that's what. So basically, all of this is a matter of risk management. Forums, is the risk worth it? We don't think so at this moment. And then with mentorship, we're still going through risk analysis and seeing whether it's worth it for our community. Plus, our grads really haven't asked us for it. Once again, I hold near and dear to my heart my customer journey map and my moments that matter. And the grad community has not asked me to do that. So that's where we are.
Yeah, and I think that really speaks to the importance of understanding your audience, understanding your community, and using the data that is available to you to make those decisions about what makes sense moving forward and what doesn't, and kind of following that through. So I think that's a really wise approach that you guys are taking. So we're getting into, we want to make sure that we leave time for Q&A, but before we jump into that, could you just give us, Terence, an example of something that really stands out to you of how the Sallyport community on Hivebrite has impacted your members, your alumni?
Yeah, so it's almost immeasurable, the impact, quite frankly. I mean, I can measure it because it's in my engagement score, but really the value and the impact is immeasurable because many enhanced connections are made daily. I can go to San Francisco and I can look into my little Sallyport app and find out who else is around me or who lives here that is in the nonprofit space, or hey, I'm looking. I have a hole, I'm missing a speaker. Who do I get? I have a speaker who's supposed to talk to me about med tech. Who's a med tech in wherever I'm at? So I can do a quick reach out and fill that hole, etc. But that's on the individual side. That's the impact there. And it sounds a little self-serving because I only gave examples of of the way it's impacted me, but I'm positive that it impacts the many graduates that we have that have adopted the platform in the same way. But for on the volunteer side, this is really customer delight for our volunteers, especially those that really leaned into the platform and have learned it and have partnered with us to grow alongside with us in Hivebrite.
Right.
So that's
Fantastic.
the impact, Ria.
I love it. Thank you. So thank you, Terence, for taking the time to answer all those questions. I'd like to take a look at the Q&A to see what we have here. So we have a question from Claudia. It says, hi, Terence. I'm also in the education industry. Our company's name is Collective Academy, and one of our biggest struggles is making the intangible aspects of community tangible, like being able to come up with useful metrics and things of that sort. What's some advice that you could give when trying to come up with measuring community-related aspects that can help Claudia and her team be more data-driven?
So definitely looking at, I don't know if you have engagement scoring or any sort of modeling, but it's always good to start out with an overall engagement metric for your institution, and then incorporate community metrics into it. So for instance, if your mission is to serve graduates with career services and serve your other groups, for instance, build an algorithm, build a quick algorithm. It doesn't have to be too fancy. Maybe 50% of your factors are career services oriented, and then the other half of your factors are adoption and touches within, or unique use within the platform. Those are too easy. I mean, I'm just trying to give you layups here. But start small, start with your mission, start with your vision, build a simple algorithm. It doesn't have to be fancy, and incorporate those factors that you really want to drive within your engagement platform or community platform. And I think it's as easy as adoption. I think that's easy. And then unique usage is, because you want people to come back and back and back and back, and return use is a key indicator or a key performance indicator of success in my mind.
Right. And I think I'd like to add a little bit onto there that I agree with the approach of starting small and adding to that approach that you're taking, because if you try to do all of it all at once, you're not going to be successful. Trying to do too many things. So start small and then grow from there. If you're starting off with a single engagement metric, so you're looking at how many visits do we have to the platform this month, and then maybe take that and look at it over time. Then the next step is, what does it look like? Who are our most active users? Maybe those folks become your advocates and your new volunteers, and they really become your champions for building community on your online platform. So yeah, I think just start small and be realistic, and then make adjustments along the way as needed. Great. So we have a couple more questions. So the first one, so Logan asked, have you looked into using AI tools yet for data or analytics, Terence?
So we're in our infancy within the AI journey, but really we're in the discovery phase of AI, and we're just really trying to understand it. So we do use AI tools in other areas of our business. We have a chat GPT tool for resume writing within career services. but we do not have any AI tools, and we're not writing prompts yet.
Gotcha.
But this goes back to our partnership with Hivebrite. Hivebrite has really stepped forward in providing that education for consumers regarding AI tools. So just learn right now, discover, learn, read. That's where I'm at right now. I'm a wait and see kind of guy. And I know that I can't wait too much longer because AI is moving so quickly.
Yeah.
So, once again,
Yeah.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck right now because I feel like I'm moving slow, and I probably am. But yeah, it's all about reading and understanding and using the tools that
Right.
are out there. And the Hivebrite are providing those for us. So we hope to grow
Yeah.
with on the journey. So
Yeah, and we've started using AI internally to kind of transform our operations and looking to improve insights and really make better and faster decisions around product development and things like that. And we're excited about all of those different opportunities and the possibilities. It's a little excuse me, it can be a little overwhelming. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited about AI. And so,
daunting.
I'm so sorry. Especially in the area of content moderation and flagging potentially problematic content or even content creation, making tailored connections and things like that. So we're really looking at those internally, and our priority is really to make sure that we are being responsible and using this AI functionality wisely and ethically, and really making sure that throughout that process of any of that technology that we adopt, that we're transparent and that we're laying that all out on the table for our customers as well, and making sure that security is obviously one of our top focuses there as well. So yeah, I'm excited to see where things go.
Yeah, I mean, we've
Okay.
tried to layer a couple of AI tools onto this platform. We have a grad-owned business right over the mountain, Storm King Analytics, who presented me an AI tool, and this is actually 18 months ago, and I showed him
Wow.
the support app, and he said, "Oh yeah, this is great. I can layer on top of this." But once again, I'm a wait and see guy. I can't no, I'm not signing contracts. I'm not layering AI on top of mine because our grads
Right.
trust me. So I just didn't feel comfortable doing anything like that. But they're coming
Right.
for me. I want to be ready.
Skynet is real.
Yes.
So let's kind of switch a little bit. So we had a couple of questions around promoting the community. So how do you guys do that? How are you promoting the community, getting people to join? What are your communication strategies around that? And then I think part and parcel of that is building and retaining your volunteer network. So how do you recruit volunteers and get them involved as well?
Yeah, so the first part of the question, repeat the first part over again.
So how are you
Yep.
promoting Sallyport, and how are you getting people to sign up and activate their accounts and get them involved?
Got it. So it's very important to have a strong, and this is back to my point regarding you get out of it what you put into it. When we originally launched, this was all hands on deck effort with the Association of Graduates. Our communications and marketing team, they're great. We laid out a strong messaging campaign, which of course we have buy-in from our C&M team. So of course, having all the stakeholder buy-in is important. Having a strong comms team is important. And then number three, having a plan is the most important. Yeah, which of course, it's great to have a plan, but all plans don't survive first contact. So, we had a good launch plan. We also had a good maintenance communications plan that took us through 18 months. And of course, having that goal, that adoption goal. And so goal setting, comms plan, all of those things led to success for us in my eyes. Also having 100% buy-in, and then of course leadership support. All of that made for a recipe for success. So, and then of course
Fantastic.
integration and UX, all of that stuff follows.
Yeah, that's great. And so how does
What's
that,
the last part of that question?
right, the last part, so the other part of that question is, how do you guys recruit volunteers and kind of cultivate your volunteer network of admins?
Yeah, so volunteer recruitment is an easy lift for us. Our graduates have very, very strong affinity for the academy. So volunteering for anything at the academy is really easy. Cultivation is probably the more difficult task for us. We do that through various meetings. We have a bylaws that dictate that we have to have an advisory council. So it's a pretty high bar to join that advisory council or be elected to it. We pull a lot of volunteers from there. We also cultivate through the advisory council meetings. We have good structure. We're able to provide them the ability to talk with each other, like, oh, here's your advisory council, here's some topics, talk amongst yourselves. Back to that, self-licking ice cream cone. They're moderating, they're self-moderating, they're talking about best practices. So, I think we're pretty far along regarding cultivation, but I guess the real question behind the question is, how do I do that if you're not blessed to have a wonderful volunteer network like I am? You have to make it easy for your volunteers. That's really that's the secret sauce. As long as you make it easy for them, like, one click, one call, be easy to be contacted, provide them all the avenues, just customer service 101. If it's not easy, the volunteers are going to go elsewhere or do something else.
Right.
It has to be force fed, over communicated, and just so easy that your volunteers will just come rushing in, because you're the easiest opportunity for them to serve and get that resume bullet, I guess. So.
Right. Okay. There are two questions that I want to make sure that we get to because they're fantastic questions. So this one is from anonymous attendee. So I'm an alum of Columbia Business School. We have Hivebrite for our MyCBS platform, so for their online alumni community. We don't feel the school is communicating its availability to the alumni. What can we do as alums to help encourage the school and the alumni themselves to take the jump to this platform to engage and communicate? The school doesn't seem to prioritize creating exposure to the platform either virtually or even in person at events. So what are some things that, if you guys were struggling to get engaged alumni, what are some things that they could do to engage, to get the association to be more engaged?
Yeah, I do want to start off by saying that I feel your pain because once again, there is a huge barrier between our private nonprofit and the school, for instance, or the academy, being a government entity. We have, the SJA, the JAG barrier, etc. So there is a barrier. We're talking about essentially a barrier. It's essentially the same barrier. But you're relying on your school to do the communication for you. Whereas on our side, we have the ability to communicate directly to our graduates. So we're not really relying on anyone. They're relying on, the academy is relying on us to provide them information. But if you're relying on your school, you have a huge sales campaign in front of you regarding selling the need for this for your constituents. So this is not customer service 101. This is sales 101. What's in it for them? You have to communicate that strong need for the school to have the community. And it has to be couched in what's in it for them at every given. I hate to be that blunt, but it has to be like that. So even if it's maybe if it's a little overt and aggressive, I think that's the right way. That's the right way to go. I mean, you can do it in a nice way, but it has to be about them, so that you can get them to do what you need them to do, and also portray that this is a team effort. So I don't know if any of that is happening where you're having more or less a breakdown within the team, because you have to be viewed as part of the team, and that's the issue that we have here as well. Oh, AOG, they're over there. All they do is raise money. No, actually, we're part of the team. We're here to do the blocking and tackling for you, with your constituents who can, oh, by the way, give you money to enhance your program. So
right.
That's more or less how you break down that barrier. It's going to be a constant battle, but I think you got to lay it on thick, in short order. But before you do that, I would build the sales strategy and figure out what's in it for them, and maybe go to them and ask them, like, what do you need from us, and why are you not viewing us as part of the team, and just have this conversation about how can we be better partners.
And I would add on to that as an alum, your voice is powerful and is meaningful. So get engaged, reach out to that alumni association, and volunteer and raise your hand and kind of make them listen. So your voice is powerful as an alum. So to kind of, I think we'll take this one last question, and because we're down to the last couple of minutes here, but to that same end of that kind of engagement and making sure that there's buy-in from alumni. On the flip side, you have buy-in from leadership. So we have this question that says, we do need more leadership buy-in. They are prioritizing other projects like fundraising, or they don't make the connection of engagement with attitude towards the institution, and thereby the propensity to donate. So if they're following the 80-20 rule and focus on rich alumni donors who don't use platforms like that, how do you justify to leadership the importance of them buying into the work that you're doing with this online community, and how that fits into your overall engagement strategy? I paraphrased a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, having those strong engagement metrics, which I'm sure that you have, and being able to draw conclusions between the engagement metrics and the propensity for graduates to give, that is a pretty powerful connection. And we do that within our cross-functional engagement scoring meeting. Our engagement score is private to us at the association. Our grads don't know what their scores are, but we draw these correlations within our data science group, and we're able to present those cases to whoever is not understanding why it's important to have engagement. So I'm very, very careful in not saying too much about it, because I don't want my mission to be muddied by the fact that strong engagement has strong correlation to more fundraising, because that's not my mission in alumni support. My mission is to give relevant services and products to my graduates and make them world class. So I'm very careful when I talk about this, but if you're an advancement institution, you have to have the ability to show that correlation between engagement and philanthropy, which we can do, and we actually use philanthropy as a guidepost for our to build our algorithm for our engagement score. So it kind of went in the egg follows the chicken pathway.
Yeah.
But if you're a little further along with your engagement scoring and modeling, I would recommend that you draw those correlations and show the proof. Like, hey, strong engagement equals strong philanthropy.
Yep. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock and we're just about out of time. So I wanted just to thank all of you for your questions and for spending your time with us today. It's close to lunchtime where I am. I'm not sure wherever you are. Oh, go ahead.
If there's more questions, feel free to hit me on LinkedIn. I don't know if my contact is shareable. I know you're anonymous, but feel free to reach directly out to me.
Oh, thanks for that, Terence. I appreciate that. Yeah, so please, reach out to Terence, or if you have questions about engagement or about strategy when using the platform, please reach out. If you have a CSM, reach out to them, or take a look at the community resources that are available for you, as well as being part of the Hivebrite community. So for our audience, we will be sharing the recording of this webinar via email. So if you have any follow-up questions there, please feel free to hit reply on that email and we'll follow up accordingly. I think Logan is going to drop a survey link in the chat, and we would really appreciate it if you guys would take a minute or two to give us your feedback on today's webinar. And yeah, once again, Terence, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you sharing your insights and expertise with us, and for everyone who's joined with us today. So thank you all so much. Have a fantastic day. Oh, there's the survey link. So go ahead and click on that, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.